Just underway on Channel 4 is the news, presented by Trevor MacDonald. Here, good evening. We've got great fun and great news for you. In half an hour, the lads are back. The Brickies of Auf Wiedersehen Pet. Great show. We're showing the episodes again every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30. You be out there. Now let's go to Roxy.
Wow, some in-vision continuity from Granada TV there. So, this, as you can see, is another reaction video. It's not Top of the Pops. There is Kid Jensen and Pat Sharp, by the way. I don't know, it was about 6 months ago, I did a reaction to the first ever episode of ITV's attempt to steal some of Top of the Pops' thunder, the Roxy, which focused on the network chart, network singles chart, which was what independent local radio used, and I think still used now, I'm not entirely sure. This is the final ever episode of the Roxy. It was from the 5th of April 1988, so that was what, 32 years ago today. And the first performance from this kind of historic final episode is from Jermaine Stewart, who featured on a fairly recent Top of the Pops reaction of mine. Not with this song though, and I'm not sure what this song is. It will presumably be something that is in the chart at the moment. So I'll have a few notes to put on screen as and when I can do the research for them. So I reacted to the first episode of the Roxy, just as I thought it was an interesting kind of music related TV show to do. This final episode, before the programme got cancelled, has been catching my eye for a long time now, and what with the date of the anniversary of the actual broadcast date having come up now, then I thought, yeah, why not, let's do it, just for a change. And there would have been a Top of the Pops reaction only a couple of days ago, but you lucky people, you're getting this one now. So here is Jermaine Stewart, American singer. I believe he's passed away now. If I remember correctly from when I was researching him for the previous Top of the Pops reaction, I think he died from AIDS-related illness, I think. What can I say about this? It's alright. Kind of your standard mid to late 80s US dance pop kind of fare, really. I know the track that he performed on Top of the Pops that I reacted to, that I'm going to keep referring back to for some reason, which I think was called Say It Again. I really enjoyed that. It was a bit of a slow burner for me, that track. Whereas this one, it's kind of funky from the get-go, but it's nothing special. There's nothing particularly unique about it. But there we are, that was Jermaine Stewart. And there is David Kid Jensen.
Along with Tapao is here to perform their most recent network chart success. This is Sex Talk, performed absolutely live.
Okay, so Sex Talk, from Tapao. Tapao, another act who it feels like they've featured a little bit heavily in my reaction series. Maybe they featured twice, but for some reason it feels like more. I think it's because I do watch the old Top of the Pops episodes on BBC 4 that they show twice a week on a Friday night. Not for anything to do with my channel, just because I like watching old episodes of Top of the Pops, and they happen to be on the television every week. And I think Tapao featured quite a lot on those as well, so that's probably why it feels like I'm doing a lot of reactions to them, but I'm not. This might only be like the second, maybe third Tapao performance that I've actually reacted to in this series of mine here on YouTube. But this is obviously a completely live performance there. Carol Decker is singing live and the band are playing live. No miming and lip syncing going on here. If memory serves, I think I talk a little bit about how the Roxy came to be in the first episode, the first reaction to the Roxy that I did. I'll put a link to it in the description actually, so that you can find it easily, but it will be there in my reactions playlist as well. So I won't go into a lot of detail about the actual show itself, other than that it was made by Time Tease Television, which was the regional ITV network for Newcastle and the northeast of England. And there again, going into former ITV regional networks is kind of a lecture all on its own, and all that sort of thing does interest me. I'm not going to start talking about that now, because it would get completely sidetracked and be totally irrelevant. The Roxy was cancelled, and from what I understand, I wouldn't have been very old at this point, a couple of months off my 8th birthday, but you know, having looked into it a little bit in more recent years, it just didn't catch on. It just couldn't compete with Top of the Pops. It was shown late at night towards the end, as that InVision continuity announcer at Granada Television, which was the Manchester/Northwest ITV region, by the way. I think that InVision continuity thing was kind of a late night ITV staple by this point in the late 80s. It was just been moved to a graveyard slot. Top of the Pops was kicking its arse. Top of the Pops had the proper top 40 on it, the proper singles chart. The Roxy, I don't think their presenters were as good. I mean, Kid Jensen, he did do Top of the Pops previously, back in the 70s and early 80s. Never one of my favourite hosts. I just always felt there's something a little bit unlikable about him. That's just me though, you know, some people might have loved him. He's co-hosting this one with Pat Sharp. I believe Pat Sharp, I don't really associate him with the BBC at all, but I believe he actually hosted some Top of the Pops in the 1980s, before he kind of became an ITV guy. So there we are, that was Tapow and Sex Talk.
Tapow singing live!
Yeah, Paul, I'll let you into a secret. We are
Oh, they've got a third host. Paul someone.
Now?
Yeah, this very moment, yeah.
You mean we can't do this again?
No, Paul, there's no chance you're doing it again at all. No, this is it.
So the guy with the stupid mullet is Pat Sharp. Most people of my age will remember him. I'm not sure who that Paul guy is though. No idea. So this is, what did he say? From the Hip by Lloyd Cole and the Commotions. I haven't heard anything by Lloyd Cole and the Commotions for ages. Oh, they're flashing up some tour information on screen, look. They're touring in Japan in June. They don't put this information on screen very long, do they? There's something about an EP out as well. What do I say about this? It's relatively pleasant, but a little bit dreary. Indie pop. Would I even call it indie, this? Because I do remember Lloyd Cole and the Commotions. They're quite I don't think they ever really got any sort of massive hits. You know, they may have got top 10 once, perhaps, at some point. But they're just one of those consistently always in the lower reaches of the top 40 bands from around this point. And just one of those bands where absolutely nothing, even though I remember them being in the chart a lot when I used to listen to the top 40 on Radio 1 weekly, without fail. They just did stuff that never stuck in my head, and, you know, like this. I dare say I heard this track quite a few times, you know, back in the day, but it's just not very memorable. It's got a nice chorus, I will say. And Lloyd Cole himself's got a pleasant voice. Is he performing live? Not sure. I've got a feeling they're not. Not really anything to say about this, to be honest. Just a bland, but ultimately reasonably pleasant guitar pop song, really. So I'm assuming later on in this episode, I've not watched this, by the way. I've had a very quick scrub through just to see that there's not been too much in the way of edits. Although I may have to make edits myself, and just to check that the overall video and sound quality is acceptable to both myself and to you good people as well. But I'm assuming that the network chart itself, the countdown, I don't think they did a top 40. From what I remember the first episode, it may have been a top 30. But we'll see. I'm assuming that'll be coming up at some point.
Now, Stock Aitken and Waterman have produced a song for two Capital Radio disc jockeys, Mick Brown and Pat Sharp. It's all for charity for Help a London Child, and it's almost a hit. Let's all jump!
So here we go, it's Pat and Mick. So Pat Sharp, who's hosting the Roxy, is now performing with his London radio cohort, Mick, can't remember his surname there, but Let's All Chant. They used to do this every year for a few years. They released a charity single, Pat and Mick. Oh, here we go. We've got some supplementary information coming on screen. Very fast, though. Mike Stock backing vocals. Wow. How exciting. Yeah, the charity I think they supported was Help a London Child. Whether these also supported or supported in later years Great Ormond Street, I'm not sure. So I'm sure there was some charity singles come out in aid of Great Ormond Street Hospital. Maybe it wasn't Pat and Mick there, but anyway, this is, I don't know if this was their first charity single, Pat and Mick. The one I remember, there again, it would have been about a year on from this, 1989, and I would have seen it pretty regularly, pretty recently, sorry, on the BBC 4 repeats of Top of the Pops from 1989 that have been on recently. As I Haven't Stopped Dancing Yet, which is a cover version of someone. But I'm pretty sure this is a cover version of someone, of something as well, albeit a not particularly very verbose one. I'm pretty certain Pat and Mick are miming here. So Pat Sharp, he had a fairly high-profile TV career. You don't really see him much now. You sort of see him crop up as a talking head, or you know, rent an opinion type guy on certain shows occasionally. But back in the 80s and 90s, he was quite big on, well, things like this, and of course Funhouse, the children's ITV game show. That was probably his most famous gig, and I think he won the Smash Hits Award for Worst Haircut of the Year at least a couple of times, which is understandable, as well, when you've got a mullet like that, you should just really that's the least you can expect, really.
Still to come on Roxy, Bananarama, our network #1, and a special Roxy review.
Okay, end of part 1 then. I'll see you in part 2 for more Final Roxy. Alright, we're back with part 2. I will have edited them out, but there was some really nice retro ads there in the break that were actually included in this download, so that was nice. Right, Bananarama, another band that featured fairly heavily in my reaction series because they were just having hit after hit around this point. This is I Want You Back. And this was the first single to feature Jackie when Siobhan Fahey, I can never say her name, left Bananarama, and a couple of years later she formed Shakespeare's Sister, and they had a big #1 in 1992 with the excellent, the wonderful Stay. So there's no chart positions put on the screen here. In fact, it's a bit annoying that they don't even put the track name on. They just put the artist name on. And if you're lucky, in the little bit of info that they put on screen, there might be the track name, but that's not guaranteed. So Jackie is there she is. There's Jackie. I think she's new. That's Karen, and no, Karen. Oh no, it was Karen. No, Sarah. Sarah's the blonde, and Karen, the lady whose black dress we're almost looking up. Wonderful camera shot there. She's the one on the right. But there's Jackie with a long black hair, the new member. I knew I'd get it right eventually. Hey, I'm not a Bananarama super fan, so, you know, I'm not supposed to know these things, am I? I quite like Bananarama, they're a lot of fun. I think by the time we joined the Stock Aitken Waterman stable, I think sort of the magic had gone a little bit. As prior to that, they were a little more kind of almost indie, kind of a sort of scruffy girl band, but more towards the sort of new wave end of things in the sort of early to mid 80s when they started. And by this point, they joined Stock Aitken and Waterman. They're sort of dressing up a bit more. All their records have that kind of Stock Aitken Waterman sheen to them, like such as this one, for instance, I Want You Back. And yeah, I think they've really peaked. It's always nice to see them. Attractive ladies, probably not the greatest voices ever in popular music, but that wasn't really the point of them, ever. They were just a fun sort of band, really, or group. Can't really call them a band, can we? Unless you say girl band. I think Karen, the one whose dress I'm enjoying trying to look up. Sorry, yes, I know that's very sexist. It's not very 2020. Yeah, whatever. I think she was married to. She might still be married to him actually. Andrew Ridgeley from Wham. I think. I'll put it up on screen. Who is that dickhead in the lumberjack shirt?
Who is Stock Aitken and Waterman then?
Well, they're not a firm of solicitors, if that's what you mean.
I reckon they've made more hits than I've cleaned windows.
And that's quite a few. David, save us from this rapturous nonsense.
Well, Pat got to introduce himself earlier on, so now it's my turn. Here's David. Well, thanks a lot there, David.
So Kid Jensen passes over to himself. Oh, we're only getting a top 20. Look, I thought it might be a top 30.
Into the 20th 19 go quo in their 20th year of chart.
Look at that, he doesn't even say what the single is. It's annoying that.
At 17 in her 12th consecutive week of chart action, it's Taylor Dayne.
I mean, they wonder why this show didn't really take off. It's like, yeah, I know they're trying to do things a little different from Top of the Pops. They can't just be a carbon copy, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with actually just reading the chart out like a normal person, surely.
Recently in the UK,
come on, Jensen, you bastard.
12, Kylie Minogue. Remarkably, Whitney Houston peaked at 10 and now falls to number 11. Up 3 to number 10, it's the multi-talented Debbie Gibson.
Multi-talented?
Here's the highest climber. Love changes everything. Climby Fisher rocket 14 to number 9. At 8, it's 8 Wonder, who ease up and climb just 1. Still at 7, it's Sunita with her single Inspired By, Lisa and Cult Jam. Down 2 to 6, sang Iron Maiden and Can I Play With Madness. At 5, Aha go up 3 places and stay on the road to success.
That'll be Stay on These Roads.
Tiffany, one of 4 females in our top 10. At 3, the Pet Shop Boys climb 12 places with Heart.
Oh, he's actually said the track name for the Pet Shop Boys. Great song as well, Heart. That was the number 1 in the official chart. Whether it was in the network chart, no idea. Don't really care neither. But here is the network chart number 1, and I'm pretty certain, in fact I am certain, that this was also number 1 in the proper Gallup / BBC UK singles chart. It is Don't Turn Around. Nice sort of light pop reggae track. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing overly excellent, but there's been way worse number 1s, that's for sure. This is the first promo video that we've seen on this episode, and it could well be the last, as if you needed reminding, which I'm sure you didn't. There will be no more Roxy, no more of this Top of the Pops clone after this episode had been transmitted over 3 decades ago. So I didn't get much of that, but that's fine.
Sorry, back to my real job. Aswad, still network chart number 1. Well, Paul, we come to the end of the Roxy. It's so sad, the end of an era. I know, I really enjoyed it. Paul, look, you're not collecting water for your windows.
Who is that? I wonder if he'll come on the credits.
Thank you, Mrs. Nolan, for my letter.
Don't forget you can still hear the network chart on independent radio.
I'll never
every
listen to the
Sunday
network
afternoon
chart on
from 5
independent
o'clock.
radio.
We'll
It
leave you
just,
today with a
I mean,
final
I'd
look
bloody
at some of the
Dr.
stars came
Fox
out.
on it for starters. Oh, so now we're just getting some highlight some of the history of the Roxy. I remember that performance from Erasure. That was on the first episode that I reacted to, and I think that one from Pepsi and Shirley and Curiosity was as well. Cliff Richard there. This is the Roxy theme tune, which I believe was by Stock Aitken and Waterman and Bananarama. Like, it was credited to both of them for some reason. Speaking of Bananarama, that looks like them there again. Is that Swing Out Sister there? There's Black, The Cure, Robert Smith, Shaking Stevens. No idea who that is. Oh, that is Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees. There's Fish, formerly of Marillion. There's Def Leppard. So they had some big names on. Kim Wilde's there, look. New Order, yeah! Rick Astley there. Shirley Bassey. Level 42. Jelly Bean, I believe that is. UB40, of course, there. He looks familiar. Bryan Adams, I think that might have been, actually. That was Paul Weller. The Proclaimers were there. Paul McCartney was on the Roxy. Wow. You got more big names over what would have been less than a year, I think this was. So I think the first episode that I reacted to was Paul Nolan is his name. Still don't know him, but I at least know that idiot's name now, Paul Nolan. Yeah, the first episode, the debut episode, was that like June 1987. You'll see anyway, because I've linked it in the description. But here we go. We're seeing the end credits now, and still seeing some more of the classic and iconic performances from some of the biggest stars of 1987 and 1988, and also Sunita. From the Roxy's short lifespan. So I hope you enjoyed this, and please join me again for my next music television reaction video. Oh, there they are. Look, the pulling the Roxy down. Look, it's demolished. Goodbye to it forever. But at least Top of the Pops remains with us and is going as strong as it ever was. But that's going to be it from me. Thank you all to my subscribers and my patrons, and join me next time. Cheers, everyone. See ya!
Dennis, Oz, Neville, Barry, Bomber and Wayne are back next.